CatSynth TV. Hey everybody, CatSynth TV, and today we are looking at the Behringer CAT, a hardware recreation of one of my favorite analog synths, the Octave CAT. This is actually the third version of the CAT that we are presenting here at CatSynth, after the original and the Cherry Audio software version. We'll put a link to our demos of each of those in the description below. We're also going to do a three-way comparison of all the versions in an upcoming video. But for now, we're going to dive into the details of the Behringer CAT itself. The CAT recreates the look of the original Octave CAT, in particular the SRM version. It has the same knobs and sliders on the outside, and they have re-engineered the analog circuitry from the original on the inside. We have the main sections from the original, VCO1, VCO2, the VCF, transients, VCA and noise, and LFO and pitch controls. This version has a few contemporary features, including MIDI input, with the traditional DIN connections as well as USB. There is also CV input and output for connecting to Eurorack modules. And of course, there is the adorable cat logo, which is a nice touch. I'm going to go ahead and connect our Arturia Keylab to the MIDI in. Come on, it's always been a little tough to connect MIDI cables. Alright, now we should be able to play our cat from the keyboard. Now let's look at each of the sections in more detail, starting with VCO1. It has 4 different waveforms: sawtooth, triangle, pulse with variable duty cycle, and suboctave. Let's turn everything else down, open the filter, and let's listen to each of the waveforms. First, the sawtooth. Lovely. Now let's do pulse. We can change the pulse width or duty cycle. We also, of course, have the pulse width modulation. Change the source from DC to LFO, set the LFO to a lower frequency, Okay, let's turn that down and bring in the suboctave with the sawtooth. If we turn down the sawtooth, we can hear that the sub is really just a square wave. Cool, and finally, there is the triangle wave. We can play all the waveforms together. That's a nice, fat, classic analog sound. Let's turn all these down and go to VCO2. It also has a sawtooth, a square wave with fixed duty cycle, and it also has a sub. Now we can play all the waveforms of both VCO1 and VCO2 together. Yeah, hopefully you were listening to that with good bass speakers. Again, those dirty fat bass sounds were what the CAT was famous for. Okay, now let's turn our attention to the VCF. The CAT has a rather idiosyncratic VCF, with a complicated history. I'm guessing this model's the version that came after the whole kerfuffle with ARP. But in any case, let's go ahead and listen as we sweep the cutoff frequency. Bring up the Q a bit. Nice. Crank the Q all the way up. getting some self-oscillation, so we can turn all of these down, keep keyboard tracking on, as if it was its own oscillator. Cute, but a bit of a novelty. Let's bring the cue back to a civilized level and bring everybody else back in. Now, of course, we can apply modulation to the filter. The simplest is to use the ADSR envelope. Let's set that up now. Bring these down a little bit. Yeah, did I mention I love that analog bass? Now we have other types of modulation as well. We can bring in the LFO. Try sample and hold. Finally, we can also use VCO1 to modulate the cutoff frequency. When using VCO1 as a modulator, it's best to turn off its audio into the filter. Yeah, some dirty, unstable FM action there. Now we can do similar modulations between the VCOs themselves. Let's have VCO2 modulated by VCO1. We'll just use the triangle on VCO1 for now. Now let's try the sawtooth. It's getting a little angry there. Now we can have VCO2 simultaneously modulate VCO1 for some cross-modulation craziness. Yeah, the CAT is crunchy, gritty, a bit of a punk aesthetic, and that's why we love it. Turn these off. Now there's also sync mode. This is a classic hard sync function found on many analog synths. The duty cycle of VCO2 is reset based on the cycle of VCO1. There are actually two different sync modes on the CAT. Let's try mode A. Yeah, it's kind of a gritty version of the classic sync sweep. When the frequency of VCO1 is below VCO2, you start to get some weird behavior. Let's try mode B. Now we can use modulation to automate the sync sweep. Let's have the ADSR envelope modulate VCO1. Turn up attack and decay times. Yeah, there's a bit of schmutz at the bottom. Let's add some additional modulation from the LFO. Okay, now we're going to use the CV section to connect our CAT to a modular system. We've set up a combination of our Make Noise Tempi and Rene as a two-dimensional step sequencer. We'll take the quantized CV output from the Rene and connect it to VCO1 CV input. If you leave VCO2 CV unconnected, the VCO1 CV controls the pitch of both VCOs. Now let's connect the X-axis gate from the Rene to the gate CV input on the CAT. Now let's connect the VCF cutoff frequency to our Make Noise maths. Adjust the maths parameters a bit. Adjust them a bit more. Unfortunately, the CV inputs on the CAT are somewhat limited. For example, we can't change the levels of individual waveforms, but we can still do a few more things. Let's switch this to VCO2 CV and use VCO1 as a modulator for VCO2. We'll use a different output from the maths to modulate the frequency of VCO1 for some FM fun. We hope that you've enjoyed this look at the Behringer CAT. As mentioned earlier, we're going to do a three-way comparison with the original CAT and Cherry Audio's version. A triple shootout, if you will. So please do come back and check that out. To find out more about the Behringer CAT, please visit Behringer.com and check out the description below this video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to CatSynth TV.